Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be checking out PieCoin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you probably heard of it, right?
I think so.
I mean, it's the cryptocurrency everyone's talking about.
Right.
The one you can supposedly mine right on your phone
Yeah, I've heard that.
without killing your battery.
Which is crazy if you think about it compared to Bitcoin.
Totally. Bitcoin needs so much energy to mine, it's wild. So anyway, for today's deep dive, we listened to a podcast episode called ASEC Podcast Episode 1, Introduction to PieCoin.
Oh, cool.
And I had some pretty interesting stuff in there, so let's jump in. So what is PieCoin exactly?
Well, I think the main thing is that it's trying to be the cryptocurrency for, everyone. Not just like the techie people or people with a lot of money for all the fancy equipment.
Yeah, Bitcoin mining's gotten so exclusive these days.
Exactly. PieCoin wants to change that and make it so anyone can mine it, which is a pretty cool idea.
For sure. So at its core, it's a digital currency.
Yeah.
But the way you mine it is totally different.
Okay.
It uses this special algorithm that's super energy efficient, so you can mine it on your phone without draining your battery.
Huh. So anyone can just download an app and start mining.
It seems that way. Oh, and also the
Oh.
team behind it are all Stanford grads, which is pretty impressive.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Dr. Nicholas Kokalis, Dr. Cheng Gao Fan, and Vincent Phillip.
That definitely gives it some legitimacy, right?
Totally. And, it makes you think about the bigger picture. Like, what if everyone had access to financial tools no matter where they live or how much money they have?
Yeah, that's the potential PieCoin is talking about.
Right. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. PieCoin is being developed in phases.
Like a roadmap.
Exactly.
Mm.
Each phase builds on the last one to make a more secure and decentralized network.
Right, and that's super important for any cryptocurrency.
Totally. It means that no single entity controls the network, kind of like a global community maintaining a ledger instead of relying on a bank.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So they're taking it step by step, and I think that's a smart move.
Definitely, it gives them time to test things out and make sure everything works properly.
Right. Okay, so Phase 1 started on Pi Day, March 14, 2019, which is a pretty cool detail.
Yeah.
The main focus of this phase was to build up the community and get people using the app.
So just getting started.
Yeah. And, the idea of just tapping a button on your phone
Right.
to mine cryptocurrency is pretty revolutionary.
Super simple.
Right. It's kind of like a game almost, but obviously with real potential value.
Oh, I see.
Okay, next up is Phase 2, the testnet phase, which ran from 2020 to 2021.
Okay.
This was basically a test version of the blockchain where they could try things out in a controlled environment.
Like a beta test.
Exactly. And then in December 2021, they moved on to Phase 3, the closed mainnet.
Gotcha.
This was a huge step because it meant that actual transactions were happening on the Pi network.
So it was actually working.
Yeah, but it wasn't fully open to external exchanges yet, so you could only trade Pi with other verified members of the network.
Okay, so it was kind of like a private club.
Yeah. They also got really serious about security in this phase with KYC verification.
KYC.
Yeah. No, your customer, it's all about making sure that only real people are using the network.
So no bots.
Exactly.
That's important.
Totally. It helps build trust and transparency, which are essential for a cryptocurrency to be successful.
Makes sense.
Okay, and now for the big one. Phase 4, the open mainnet launch.
The moment of truth.
Exactly. This is when Pi will finally be tradable on all the major exchanges like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Wow, so that's when we'll really see if it takes off.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, no one knows when it's happening.
Seriously?
Yeah, the Pi team is keeping the launch date top secret.
So everyone's just waiting with bated breath.
Pretty much. But that's what makes this so exciting. We're getting in on this before it potentially blows up.
Yeah, early access.
Exactly. It gives us a chance to learn about it and form our own opinions before everyone else jumps on board.
I like that.
Yeah. So right now, PieCoin is still in the closed mainnet phase. But the big question is, what happens next? And what does it all mean for you, the listener?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
It's a pretty unique situation, right? Like, a lot of people are wondering what will happen to Pi's value when it hits the open market.
Will it be like all the other cryptos that just go up and down like crazy?
Yeah, exactly. The volatility is a big concern.
Totally. I mean, on one hand, if this thing takes off,
Yeah.
the potential is huge.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if everyone with a smartphone could mine cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It could change everything about how we think about money.
And finance.
Yeah, for sure.
What I find really interesting is how this could impact those who don't have access to regular banking,
Yeah.
like people in developing countries or those who are unbanked for whatever reason.
Yeah, it could be huge for them, giving them access to financial tools they never had before.
Totally. It's a really exciting idea.
It is, but we got to be realistic too, you know? There are potential downsides too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we can't just ignore those.
Like price fluctuations, regulatory hurdles, and security risks are always a concern with crypto.
Yeah, no cryptocurrency is immune to that, really.
It's true. There are always two sides to every coin, as they say.
Haha. Yeah, good one.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right? It's like watching a tech startup in real time.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So much potential for success, but also for things to go wrong.
It's a gamble.
Totally, but a calculated one, hopefully.
Right, you have to do your research and understand the risks.
Definitely. Knowledge is power, especially in the crypto world.
Couldn't agree more, especially with something new like Pi.
So what are your impressions of Picoin so far? What stands out to you?
Honestly, the ambition of the whole thing is pretty remarkable. They're trying to create a cryptocurrency that's truly decentralized and user-friendly at the same time.
And that's never been done before.
Right. It's a huge undertaking, and whether they succeed or not remains to be seen, but the fact that they're even trying is amazing.
It's like they're challenging the whole system, you know, asking what if cryptocurrency could be for everyone?
Exactly, and that's a powerful idea.
It is, and it's definitely getting people talking.
And this whole mobile mining thing, it raises some interesting questions about the future of crypto.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, like, could this model, with its focus on energy efficiency and accessibility, become more common?
That's a good question.
It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest criticisms of Bitcoin is its environmental impact.
Right, all that energy consumption is a problem.
And Picoin is like the opposite of that,
Yeah.
with its mobile mining and energy-efficient algorithm.
It's a completely different approach, and it could be a game changer if it works.
Yeah, especially now that everyone's thinking about sustainability and eco-friendly tech.
If Pi can prove that cryptocurrency can be accessible and good for the planet,
Yeah,
it could attract a whole new wave of users and investors.
that makes sense. People want to invest in things that align with their values.
Totally. It's pretty fascinating to think about all the implications, isn't it?
It is. We started by talking about the technical stuff, but now we're discussing how Pi could impact society and even the environment.
Yeah, it's a much bigger conversation than just the technology itself.
It shows how tech is always connected to the bigger picture.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, you know?
Totally. We're not just learning about Pi in a vacuum.
We're connecting it to all these other trends and exploring what it could mean for the future.
Exactly. And speaking of the future, one thing I've been wondering about is security.
Oh, right, especially with the closed mainnet.
Yeah, KYC and all that is great. But how does that affect growth and scalability as the network gets bigger?
That's a good point. The closed mainnet gives them more control for now,
Yeah,
but as more users join, it could become difficult to manage.
it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, they need to find a way to keep it secure, but also allow for growth.
Totally. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that as they move towards the open mainnet.
Definitely, it's a crucial step.
You know, this whole conversation about Pi has got me thinking about something else.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Remember how we talked about it disrupting the financial system?
Mhm.
What if it goes even further? Like,
Right.
what if it changes how we think about community and collaboration?
That's interesting. What makes you say that?
Well, think about it. The idea of mining on your phone, building this network together,
Yeah.
it feels like it's more than just a financial thing, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like this shared experience, a collective effort to create something new.
Right, and the emphasis on community building, the tap to mine feature that keeps people engaged.
Exactly. It could create this sense of belonging and shared purpose.
Like a social experiment almost.
And that's powerful, right? Contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. It could lead to new ways of working together and innovating.
Not just within the Pi network, but in other areas of life too.
It's fascinating to think about how this model could be applied to other things.
Yeah, like what if we used it to tackle social issues or climate change or even scientific research?
And possibilities are endless.
It's amazing to think about how far we've come in this deep dive.
I know, right?
We started with what is Picoin,
Mm.
and now we're talking about how it could change the world.
It just shows the power of a deep dive. You start with one thing.
And it leads you to all these unexpected places.
It's a journey of discovery. And the story of Picoin is definitely not over yet.
Not even close.
Huh.
Wow, it's amazing to think about how much we've covered in this deep dive. We started with just trying to figure out what Picoin is, and now we're imagining it changing the world.
Yeah, It's really something else, isn't it?
It just shows you how a simple question like, what is Picoin, can lead to some pretty mind-blowing ideas.
It really speaks to how connected everything is. Like tech, economics, and how people interact. It all plays a part.
Definitely. What might seem like a niche topic at first, new cryptocurrency, it can actually touch upon all these bigger issues.
It really makes you think. So what about you, the listener? What do you think about all of this?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Picoin?
Did anything really stand out to you?
Are you excited about what it could do? Or are you a little more cautious?
Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here.
The crypto world's always changing, and it has its share of risks.
Exactly. It's all about making informed decisions.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you the tools to do just that.
Yeah, more than just knowing about Picoin, we hope this has helped you think critically about new technologies and their potential impact.
Totally. It's all about asking the right questions
Weighing the evidence.
and considering different viewpoints.
It's important to remember that innovation is a process.
Yeah. And the story of Picoin is still being written.
Exactly. So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Imagine, just for a second, that Picoin actually achieves all of its goals.
It becomes a widely used cryptocurrency all over the world.
Millions of people have access to financial tools they never had before.
And it creates this whole new way for people to work together.
What would that world look like? What opportunities would it bring?
What new challenges might we face? It's a lot to think about, right?
The future is always uncertain,
Yeah.
but by having these kinds of conversations, thinking deeply about these things,
It can help us prepare for whatever might come next.
definitely. We encourage you to keep learning about Picoin
Do your own research.
and talk to others about it.
The crypto world is constantly changing, and staying informed is key.
Who knows, you might even become one of the people shaping the future of finance and collaboration.
That's the exciting part. We're all part of this journey together.
The journey of discovery never really ends.
So true. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Picoin.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.